Inside the crypto market, we had some pretty good news in the past trading session. The EU 50% tariffs were to be delayed until July the 9th. Now we saw initial pushes up and then followed by losses. Now, why did this exactly happen? There are systematic reasons for it, and I'll give you the inside edge you won't find anywhere else. Those reasons relate to Rule 289. Price waves are structurally bound. When you understand the structure of the chart that you're looking at, it is an absolute game changer. I'll show you the structures and I'll show you why the market retraced. Let's run the numbers. Hi everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS and the CTKS method. If you're new, a very warm welcome and welcome back CTKS family. My goal is to help you to be more of a financial and emotional blessing to yourself and those you love, gaining real wealth and positive excellence in the process. When we look at total crypto market cap, we can see from yesterday, where we did the video just around here, things were starting to take off, and that's because of the Trump news. Basically, the EU tariffs were set to be 50%, and President Trump said, they're coming out on the 1st, and he decided they would come out on the 9th. That caused a lot of optimism globally, and we saw major indexes rallying. But what the heck happened here? Now, a lot of people will check the news 20 times per day, but they won't check the charts. Now, this is a huge mistake because charts give you real-time, actionable news. And when I say real-time, it is literally not only real-time, but also real. It is not opinion, not conjecture, nothing other than the fact. And you buy at a certain price and you sell at a certain price. And when you know what those prices are, that's reality. When you look at the news, that's an opinion. A lot of times people write news articles and they have no idea why price is going up or down, and they just make something up. This is strange but true. So what we need to look at, you look at your charts through the structural level. Now have a look at this. At 3.41 trillion, the total crypto market cap of right across the crypto market was in resistance. And we saw we came up, we tapped that, were rejected, and then later we tapped it again and were rejected again. Now what did this do to the price of crypto? Of course, it can only do one thing. If this is total crypto market cap, any specific project, including Bitcoin, was hitting overhead structural resistance and was pushed back from it. Now, Bitcoin has been really strong, and the alts, they're the ones that suffer in moves like this. So for example, as your beloved alt, say Solana or ADA or Pepe or whatever that alt is, actually please let me know what your 3 beloved alts are, and I'll see if I can just do this kind of analysis for you. And this kind of analysis is not just drawing a line on a chart and saying, I think it's there. This is 2 levels of standard certification, which marks up all of price history. It's quite onerous, so if you let me know what your top 3 are, I'll seek to mark those up in coming videos. It's not an instant thing, it does take a while. Okay, so let's look into this. We had that overhead total structural resistance. Now let's go to Bitcoin. Looking at Bitcoin, we can see a fairly similar path that is followed by Bitcoin, a little bit stronger here. Now, what do we see in terms of structure? That's actually the key thing. The structure is everything. We had this massive rally through 2 structural levels. It had to congest a while because that's a lot of sellers just pushing into the market, seeking to push the price down. But there was so much optimism, it made it up through 2 more levels. Now, what happened next? Total crypto market cap rejected here. We saw that it got tapped again here and has now been decreasing. This particular structural level on Bitcoin is the one to watch. Bitcoin is currently 109,383. A lot of people are addicted to the news. They look at the news and they say, oh, the news is going to tell me. Economic events, they're going to tell me. Well, it all plays a part. But the thing is, when you look at structure, you have the truth of the chart right in front of you. And that truth is very important. If you had, for example, a structure where it was all overhead structural resistance and no structural support below, well, you'd have to be pretty game to just dollar cost average in at that point. Why? Because you're buying where sellers will sell. Now, what have we seen here? This structural level actually bounced Bitcoin. And if you knew about these structural levels before you placed your buys or sells into the market, it is just like getting next week's lotto numbers. And who doesn't love that? So around that 108,920 mark is where you want to focus your effort and energy into. If we get a failure of that underside retest, we could be making our way down. But of course, price is always moving in a wave. It's always up and down, up and down. For example, when a video comes out, the price may go up, but overall the price may come down because things are in a wave. And if you think in terms of waves and not just momentum, like what is momentum? So if you look at this green candle here, that's a big short liquidation. All the shorts got whacked and they had to cover their positions. And unfortunately, the shorts kept on getting whacked up until the shorts could defend themselves up through all of these 4 levels of structural resistance. And this is proving to be a very important level itself. And what level is that? That's that 110, 162 level. When you know where the support and resistance levels are inside price action, this is an absolute game changer. And if you want next week's lotto numbers as far as the charts are concerned, this is the only channel to be at. And if you're liking the content so far, please smash that like button. And of course, yesterday was a joke. I said if you like the content so much, please smash it twice. I know that unlikes it, so don't worry, I'm on the ball. It's always really helpful to know where the major market indexes are going as well. And when we look at the futures of the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the Dow, and the Russell, what can we see? Well, we had that arcing up and rolling over too. And look at what's happening with Bitcoin, which is that blue line. Blue line, Bitcoin is showing a little bit of weakness so far, but we know Bitcoin has come into structure. We know that there was structure up here and we know there's structure there. We look at the market with a confidence that other people will never ever get. Zooming in a little bit closer to what's cooking inside the markets, if we see this continuation of the futures pushing upwards, that is exactly what we want to see. That will create risk-on behavior inside the main markets and across the world globally. And of course, that will step into Bitcoin and support it. We already know Bitcoin is at a level of structural support where it's at. But if you didn't know your structural levels, you would never know that. If you didn't get next week's lotto numbers before the lotto draw, how can you win? Are the structural levels across all charts the same? The answer is no, they're not, because each chart has a different period of time that it covers. Each chart has different volatility as well. Therefore, each chart has different structure. So when we look at the structure on Ethereum, we can see up at this 2602 level, there was a lot of overhead structure. Ethereum did valiantly, it tried to reach it, but the sellers were simply too strong. Now, what was the next level of structural support? That was playing through here at 2561. We can see that ETH is currently 2557. What about in terms of structural support, so where the buyers would step in? That's 2543 and a lower one at 2527. These are literally the lotto numbers. If you're putting money into a chart and you don't know your CTKS structural levels, you're in a lot of trouble because you haven't got the advanced numbers for the lotto. You need it. This is crypto, but it doesn't matter if it's inside the stock market, forex or commodities. It's a powerful, powerful thing to mark up your charts with. In fact, it's the world's most powerful technical analysis indicator. What about the structure? When we look at something like gold, if gold is selling down, it will need stronger and stronger structure to reverse its play. So always know where the sellers are going to come into the market, which is 33.80, and where the buyers are going to defend the market, which is 32.96. Of course, there are levels in between those levels, and you need to keep your eyes on those levels as well. There's a really faint one through that 33.64, but it was enough. Looking at Solana, we can see Solana has been through some fairly interesting price waves recently. The Trump news of the delay of the EU tariff was a certain thing that just pushed price up. And of course, smart money knew this before. But what was the structure that was underpinning Solana? That's the real key here. When we look at the structure of Solana, we can see around this 170 area, there's so much structure. Now, what does this mean? Even though we just plummeted down, and people would view this as a capitulation, in fact, these are capitulation candles. People would look at it and say, this thing is going to zero. No, it's going to a confluence of structure. We must unlearn what we have learned. It's all about structure. Price waves go from resistance to support and from support back to resistance. Price is always moving in a wave, and this is exactly why. It's how price interacts with structure that you want to keep your eye on. Society talks a lot about being fit, and being fit is pretty good, but what about your financial fitness? Is your financial fitness high? Do you understand how to read a chart? Do you understand how to make money in any market condition? If you do, and you can answer those questions, you are financially fit. If not, you're in the right place to be fitter and fitter and fitter, because we want to help you to become more of a financial and emotional blessing to yourself and those you love. Now you might say, I understand the financial blessing part, but what about the emotional part? What's that about? Well, it's primarily about this. When price sells down like this, people take it very personally. They beat themselves up. They say, I'm such an idiot. How could I have not sold at that very top? Because retail trade perfection, in other words, all those fake gurus and all of those people out there who never show you their trades, they say, I sold right there, and I bought right there, and I sold right there. Unless you see somebody's verified statements, that's rubbish. But people get sucked into it all the time, and so many educational channels. They educate with just cherry-picked data. What we do here each and every day is something incredibly different. We're using real-time data in real time to explain what's happening in real time. If you want the ultimate education, you're here, and this is where you get it. And of course, it's absolutely free. People want everything free. So look, this is free. This is what you need. And all you need to do is just let me know inside the comments what you need to learn more of, and I'll create videos for that. So what are the levels on Solana? Solana is currently 175.04 cents. You can see around that 170, there's a real big confluence of buyers. Now, this is support. When price comes down and flirts with this area, all the buyers just step in and say, can I buy you a drink? And price just runs away, just like a beautiful woman. There's so much to get your financial fitness up. There's a way that you can look at the Solana chart and have a fairly good idea as to where it's going by looking at Bitcoin's chart and Total Crypto Market's chart as well. This is a higher level of financial fitness, but wherever you are, you need to get your financial literacy up. It is vital. The job market is disappearing. AI and robotics will take over everything. And that will push more and more people into financial markets, just like C19 did. Working on your financial fitness is very, very important. You're here because your calling is to get into financial markets and be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. But you can't do it without financial fitness. This is a marathon. And of course, to run a marathon, you need to be pretty healthy. But inside financial markets, you need to know what you're doing as well. So when we look at Doge, we can see it's 22,560. What is the structure underpinning Doge at the current time? Well, we can see that we came up through levels of buying structure around that 21,750 mark. And also we came up through a positive CTKS gap, which meant there was not much in the way of overhead structural resistance up to that 22,641. And then when total crypto market cap and Bitcoin started tapping out, that was around that 2,300 area. That's why it's very important to know where your overhead structure is. Now, what does this mean for Doge? If Doge can get above 22,651, it's cooking with gas. Now, how do we get confirmation on that? We need to see total crypto market cap and Bitcoin also getting above their resistance levels. If you want to boost your financial fitness more and more, just stop looking at the news and start looking at the charts. The charts will tell you without any problems at all where things are going. There is no story in price action. And especially if you couple it with these very, very powerful lines. These levels are called SLs or Stanfield levels. They're also called CTKS levels. They are the most powerful levels that indicate buy and sell side liquidity in existence. They are pretty cool, and if you would like me to draw up your charts, please let me know your top 3 picks in the comments. And there's an absolute ton of free resources at ctksmethod.org. And I would suggest that you just come down from the homepage and grab the cheat sheet. It is your cheat sheet to mastering price action. Mastering the cheat sheet is an incredible way to get better and better inside financial markets. And there's a lot of free videos here that you can take advantage of. And I also share some of my trades. These trades are done at spot. They're not using leverage. You can use leverage if you wish, but I use spot because crypto is volatile enough. And there's our channel mascot, BORSOG, which is buy on red, sell on green. This guy is cut because he is so strong. He's so financially fit, and you can be that too. The first step, like this video. Yeah, just maybe tap it once. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. And please let me know your top 3 particular cryptos that I can mark up for you. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.